Today, I'm going to be doing a Dynasty Startup mock draft, showing you guys how I go about doing a Dynasty Startup draft. For this draft, we're doing a Superflex league. We got the third round reversal on 12-man draft. Let's go and see how this goes now. Just a pre-warning, I am doing an actual draft in a week or so, Dynasty Startup. So, a little practice, but also, if you're in that league with me, I appreciate the support. Make sure you leave a like on the video, and then I would love it if you just kind of go ahead and leave and don't listen to the rest of this video. If you're not in my league, enjoy the rest of this video. We're going to do our mock draft. Let's go ahead and go. Now, Superflex. How are we dealing with the quarterback position in Superflex? We're picking at 102 today, so we want to get our elite quarterback. And then my strategy, if you're at the beginning, is I like to get that elite quarterback and then fill out the rest of the roster and just, kind of have a stable of rotation QB2s. I think QBs tend to get a little overvalued in Superflex, and especially if you have that elite QB1, like if you have a Mahomes or Josh Allen, like your QB2, you can just have like Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins. You can bring in like a rookie like JJ McCarthy or someone that just provides you, another quarterback. But I think if you grab two quarterbacks early on, I think people have overcorrected a little too much towards quarterback in Superflex. So I'm going to show you, I'm probably not going to go 2 QB, especially at the beginning. I can kind of understand 2 QB if you're near the end of the first round and you want to double up on like an Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams, or, you grab like a Lamar and a Justin Herbert or something. I can see that, but that's just how I think about it. I think my quarterbacks at the top of the draft, Mahomes and Allen, I think you can really go either way. Allen has that upside to be QB1, QB2 every single year he plays. Mahomes is a little bit safer. He's going to play for another 10, 15 years. Josh Allen, you have a little bit of like Cam Newton scare that like how long is he going to last with this just huge running play style. But the upside is there with Josh Allen, so I could easily see that. I think CJ Stroud's a little overrated in fantasy, just the fact that he's an incredible QB, but doesn't really have a rushing upside. Like last year, he had an incredible year with incredible touchdown upside, and he still didn't finish. He still finishes like QB 12 or something. Like I just think the rushing is going to limit CJ Stroud when you're talking about dudes like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, even like Anthony Richardson, and potentially like Caleb Williams. I just think their rushing upside gives them an advantage. But we don't have to deal with that. We're going to take Josh Allen here at 102. We're going to have our quarterback that has he's been a top 3 QB almost every single year the last couple of years. So he's going to be very good. That rushing upside is just such a huge advantage in fantasy these days that you just need it. So we're going to go back. And like I said, ideally, we want to try and get like a number 1 receiver here. That would be probably best case scenario. Looking up on the board, I'm hoping Garrett Wilson falls, and perfect. So we're going to be able to get Josh Allen, secure that. And now I want to secure a number 1 receiver. So we have those kind of set. So it's either Garrett Wilson or Tyreek Hill. It's always that huge debate in Dynasty whether you want to just kind of, do I want to, like I could draft Tyreek Hill and just say, hey, I'm trying to win it this year. Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers in the league this year. Or you grab Garrett Wilson, play it a little safer, buy yourself some more years. Garrett Wilson is so much younger than Tyreek Hill. And I'm going to buy Garrett Wilson just because although Garrett Wilson doesn't have necessarily the upside Tyreek Hill has, I think he can still have a not close to Tyreek Hill like last year, but what we might see from Tyreek Hill now, because he's that number 1 receiver. We get Rodgers back, and he's just so much younger, man. You just have so much. Part of the reason you want to draft a receiver early is because receivers have such long career spans compared to running backs, and that's why I like drafting receivers early. So drafting Tyreek Hill kind of takes away that advantage you have because he's only going to have a couple years. So that's why we go Garrett Wilson there. Now you can see we did a third round reversal. If you know what a third round reversal is, it flips the draft. Basically because there's a huge advantage to getting Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, these top tier quarterbacks, that it kind of helps out the back end teams to kind of even out that advantage of them not being able to get one of those QBs. But we're back up the third round. Like I said, I'm just not a fan of running backs as early. I'm not a big fan of Travis Etienne. Kyren Williams, I can see the upside here in a potential take, but I don't mind some of the other running backs there. Whereas when we look at receivers, I just posted a video about Brandon Ayuk and this whole trade situation, and his value will change slightly. But when I look at it just in total, I think Brandon Ayuk's a top 10, top 11, 12 receiver in the NFL, and I think he's going to make it work wherever he goes. So I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk and just bet on the talent. That's what I love to do in Dynasty, especially in startups. If you're debating something, take the talent, man. We always overvalue situations sometimes. We saw it last year with Alexander Madison, with Miles Sanders, the guy like Calvin Ridley. Sometimes we just overestimate how much just situation can develop. And sometimes you want to just bet on talent and hope it and think talent's going to figure itself out. You know, there's like Justin Jefferson, his rookie year. Everyone's like, oh, he's buried on the depth chart, you know, blah, blah. But talent found its way to the top of the depth chart his rookie year and ended up having an incredible rookie year. So just bet on talent, and that's what I'm doing with Brandon Ayuk. Next up at receiver, another situation where Michael Pittman, you're betting on the situation, number one receiver, Anthony Richardson. Whereas, or you bet on Devontae Smith, which I think is the better talent and the better receiver, and hope it figures itself out. Plus, he's on a better offense. Or we take one of the running backs, and I'm going to take a running back. It's between Etienne or Kyren Williams. I'm going to take Kyren Williams. I know that might be a little bit of a hot take. Some people would probably take Travis Etienne, but I think Kyren Williams, I mean, as long as Kyren Williams doesn't get hurt, we know Sean McVay loves to just have a workhorse running back and just run one guy. As long as Kyren Williams is that guy, I'm going to keep betting on it. I know there's a lot of risk with Kyren Williams because we've only seen the 1 year with him, but that 1 year was incredible. And if we get that year again, he's got top 3 running back finish potential in him. So that's a guy I'm going to bet on. Coming back up on the clock, you know what's funny? Usually I'm always just stacking receivers in the early rounds, but part of the best drafters in these Superflex leagues is the ability to kind of switch it up and draft based on how the board falls. And based on how the board falls, I would have loved to have like a guy like DK Metcalf or DJ Moore here and get that other stud receiver. But there's a couple receivers I like, whereas running backs are going thin. So I'm going to take James Cook. I think he's going to have a great year out of Buffalo. We saw once they had the offensive coordinator switch last year. James Cook took off. They started running the ball a lot more. James Cook last year finished as one of the top running backs in fantasy, and he had like basically no touchdown production. So I'm not expecting him to have huge touchdown production, but if he just has average touchdown production, the yards and receptions are going to be there for him to be a really good player. So that's what I'm going to bet on. And now I'm going to take another receiver, and you guys might be thinking, Jared, how come you're punting on quarterback? I told you, I got Josh Allen, and I'm just going to kind of punt on QB and just have a mixture of QB2s. I like when I have that elite QB1, I'd rather build out the rest of the roster and then just kind of figure out QB2. I can have like guys like Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, and Will Levis all on my team and just kind of play whoever has the best matchup, and I'm going to get good production out of that. I just don't think I need to force a JJ McCarthy or Drake May here when there's still elite wide receiver talent on the board. I just don't want to overreact to that quarterback position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take George Pickens here, a guy who he's shown flashes in. George Pickens scares me, I'll be honest, because he kind of reminds me of, there was 2 dudes last year who kind of just got thrust into this new role that we were hoping that had like top 5 fantasy receiver upside. One went one way, one went the other way. That was Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore. Calvin Ridley goes to a new team in the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence as the new number 1 receiver, and people have huge expectations. DJ Moore goes to the Chicago's number 1 receiver for Justin Fields. He has huge expectations. DJ Moore worked out, Calvin Ridley didn't. So we've seen it go both ways with these receivers kind of thrust into new wide receiver 1 situations. But, I mean, I guess you could even say DJ Moore didn't really work out last year because he finished as a top receiver, but he also had like 2 or 3 just complete nuclear weeks, and he was very inconsistent the rest. But it's funny because George Pickens might have the same quarterback DJ Moore had last year, but I just think George Pickens, his upside is like he could be a top 10 fantasy receiver this year. I see the downside. I just explained the downside. It doesn't always work out, but I see the upside. I'm going to bet on that upside in a startup draft here. Now we're back up on the clock, and I do want to grab a tight end, but I'm liking David Njoku. I think he's going to be great. We saw the targets with him last year. He kind of started breaking out. He's kind of entering his prime now. I want to get David Njoku at tight end, but just playing the board, being smart. Team 1 already got Mark Andrews. They have a tight end. So I'm going to probably take Njoku in the 8th round when it flips back to me. So this round, we could go ahead and grab our next quarterback. Like I said, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be good. I think he's going to be really good in that offense. So he's a guy I might take here as my QB2. If we're looking at running back, Trey Benson's great value, but I did already take 2 early running backs. So I don't know if I want to take another one. I think it's either receiver or quarterback. And looking at my team, I think we can win this year, so I wouldn't be against taking a Cooper Kupp, just because I know we might not have the lifespan, but I mean, my team is ready to win this year and he'll produce. You know what? I think we're going to take Cooper Kupp. Like I said, I just explained to you why I think He was coming off an injury last year. He was still kind of injured. He's going to have a huge role in this offense still. Sean McVay, this offense is going to be clicking. My team is built to kind of win this year. If I wasn't built to win this year, if I'm like a team like here where I'm taking Malik Neighbors and Devon Achane, maybe not Debo, but like if you're building a young team like this team right here, Tank Dell, Drake May, Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Waddle. If I'm building a young team, I wouldn't take Cooper Kupp there just because like the odds of me winning this year are low. I don't want to waste Cooper Kupp. Whereas my team with Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, George Pickens, Kyron, James Cook, this team is built to win this year. So I'm going to take a guy like Cooper Kupp who will help me win this year. And then I put out the argument for David Njoku already, which is why I'm going to draft him there. We're just going to keep kind of going along this draft. I got the nice Josh Allen, James Cook stack, which I like because basically if the Bills score, which they're not going to do as much as they did last year. I hope they still score a lot. If they score, odds are I'm getting the touchdown, whether Josh Allen throwing or running or we're handing off to James Cook. So I got good odds of just getting any touchdown there in Buffalo. So that's what I like. Now, coming back up, we could still attack that. I'm going to attack my QB2 now, and I'm going to take Will Levis. He's actually a dude I just traded for in another Dynasty league. I was looking back at Will Levis just as a whole, and I'm like, I know he fell in the second round, but just taking out where he was drafted, he's in a good situation. They built so much talent around him, from Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. I like Chigakonku at tight end. Then they brought in Calvin Ridley. They still have D-Hop. They still have Treylon Burks if he can do anything. But they built this offense around him. And when I was looking at him as a prospect, I liked him as a prospect better than I like Nix, better than I like Penix, better than I like J.J. McCarthy. I thought he was a better prospect than all of those dudes. And so why would I bet on those dudes who I haven't seen anything yet, who are in worse offenses, when I have a dude that I liked better coming out of college, who showed some flashes in his first year? He has more playing time and a better offense. I think Will Levis is one of those dudes where if you were to tell me there's a quarterback still like on the board now that I think could jump in to be a really, really valuable dynasty quarterback, I think Will Levis would be that bet for me. Obviously, you have like the dudes drafted early, but like out of the later drafted quarterbacks, I think he's the best bet to have a boom this year and really I don't think he'll be like a top 5 to 10 quarterback, but right on that, he'll be a strong QB2 in fantasy, I think. So that's where I'm taking the bet on him. Moving back up, now it's time to just stack receivers and running backs. I want to attack quarterback one more time before the end of the draft, but I don't mind if I just get my last quarterback, if I just go ahead and snag like a Justin Fields, even like a Geno Smith or Daniel Jones later on, just a rotational guy, because I like my 1-2 QB for now. So we're just stacking running backs and receivers. Guys, I'm looking at Jaylen Warren. I think I like James Conner maybe later on in the draft. I don't think I want to take him now, but Jaylen Warren's a dude I'm looking up on the board here. Looking at receivers, I like Chris Godwin in Hollywood. I'm going to go ahead and take Jaylen Warren. I know I have George Pickens, but I'm just taking best talent here. That's what I like to do in Dynasty, just take the best talent. It'll all figure itself out, but I just think Jaylen Warren, I mean, this team's going to run the ball a lot with Arthur Smith there, and I think Jaylen Warren's a better player than Najee Harris, so I think he's going to find his way. His behind-the-scene numbers for Jaylen Warren are just crazy. I think he's going to end up getting the role. He's going to have a lot of pass-catching role, even if Najee Harris is the starter. He's still going to have a great pass-catching role. He's a good guy I can rotate in any week to be a good RB2 for me. Now we're back up. Now I need receivers, man. The whole thing about Dynasty is stacking up receivers. We need to stack up some receivers. Looking at all the people that are available, Josh Downs all right. Judy's all right. The receiver market's already getting hit. I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 more rounds here, so I'm not going to do the full draft for you guys, just the top. But some of the guys I'm looking at, honestly, I think here might be a little... My team's trying to win now, so I want guys who can contribute now. And so, like I said, kind of between the first rounds, figure out if your team, if you're really going to be trying to go for it this year or not. I am going to be going for it with this team. So we're looking at D-Hop or Cortland Sutton for me. And I kind of like Cortland Sutton a little more just in general, but I'm going to take D-Hop because I have Will Levis. I want that nice little D-Hop Will Levis stack. I know that's not the stack everyone's targeting in Dynasty, but I'm targeting D-Hop and Will Levis in this draft. So we're going to get him. And then honestly, coming back up on the board, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get some youth. I want to now, it's like, if you're going for it like this, what you do is you target these win now guys in the first couple rounds, and then the back end of the draft, I guess I'll just go ahead and finish the draft since it's only 14 rounds. It's not like a full 20 round startup. But what you do is you build up your starters in those early couple rounds, and then the late couple rounds, just take these crazy high upside young guys. And one of those crazy high upside young guys I got to snag is Chase Brown. I mean, reports from Cincinnati camp are that he's the starter. He's all this. I don't know if I believe all that he's going to be the full starter and stuff, but like with the team how I'm built, I don't need him to play right away. I got Warren, James Cook, and Kyron. I got solid running backs. So I'm just going to take the shot at these high upside dudes in the late round and just hope that if I take, if you take 5 or 6 dudes that have super high upside, they might, like, there's a good chance they will bust and absolutely nothing. But if just one of those dudes hits, then it was worth taking those guys. It's just kind of shoot for the needle in the haystack. That's what we're trying to find. Now with our last 2 picks, I'm just going to fill up. You know what? I might take another quarterback, but I want to fill up some receiver depth, looking at the guys who are still available, trying to find a guy, maybe who's undervalued. I'm going to go ahead and take a guy like Gabe Davis. Niggas probably like, Gabe Davis. But, like, listen, one of the other strategies I told you is, like, talent over situation is always my motto in Dynasty Startups. Take the talent. We're going to be in this Dynasty League for a while, so you want to take the talent bet on that because situations change, talent doesn't. Whereas another one I like to live by is follow the money, man. These teams pay players to be involved. Like when the Jaguars paid Christian Kirk and everyone was like, that's way too much money. Listen, whether or not you think Christian Kirk is a good receiver, they're going to value him because they paid him money. Jacksonville paid Gabe Davis. I don't know if he's going to be elite receiver 1, but we're in the 13th round of a 12-team Dynasty Startup. And Gabe Davis is probably the highest paid receiver on the board right now. So I'm going to follow the money and hope that they're going to involve him. And if an injury ever happens to anyone else on that team, Gabe Davis becomes a more prominent role, and that could be a really valuable asset. So we're going to take him. This last round doesn't really matter. If I was in a true startup, I'd be looking to grab one more QB. Like I said, Bo Nix, Stafford, or Fields. I'm actually probably going to take QB here, so I'll just talk over a couple of receivers and running backs I like, and then we'll show you who my last pick is. J.K. Dobbins, I don't know. The injury kind of scares me. Chuba Hubbard's a great dude. If you draft a dude like Trey Benson or Jonathan Brooks, who is going to be a later half of the season kind of guy, grab Chuba Hubbard because Chuba Hubbard is going to start the first couple of weeks while Jonathan Brooks is out, and they're going to run the ball. If we know anything about the Panthers and Dave Canales coming over to Tampa, he loved to run the ball, even if Rachaad White was crazily inefficient. They're going to run the ball. Chuba Hubbard's going to be a steal. I wouldn't mind taking him here at all. And then looking at receivers, some shots if you want to take Javon Baker. I talked about him in my Brandon Ayuk video, but a dude on the Patriots, which is high upside. Michael Wilson, I'm doing a breakout video, and spoiler, he's one of my breakout candidates. I think he could have a big year. And then you're just taking shots at rookies. But I'm going to go ahead and take a quarterback here. And since I have a guy like Will Levis and I don't have another quarterback, I'm going to take the shot on Justin Fields, a dude where, listen, Justin Fields might not start, but if he does play, he's instantly like a top 10 fantasy quarterback just with his rushing upside. So we're going to take Justin Fields and just shoot for that upside. I already have 2 starting quarterbacks that I don't need to start Justin Fields, but if he does, the upside is crazy with Justin Fields, and I'm willing to bet on that there. Anyways, that's the end of this Dynasty Startup. Let me know what you guys thought. If you guys show a lot of love on this video and likes, I'll do some different drafts. I can maybe show you different positions. We can do more fantasy stuff and more Dynasty stuff. I love it. I just usually stay away because I'm not a huge fan of some of the fantasy stuff that gets thrown around on the internet, but I'm giving it a shot here. We'll do it. Make sure you subscribe if you want more content. Comment. Let me know if you want more stuff like this, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for watching.